The Invisible Chain: Why We Mistake Pain for Love and How to Finally Break Free. Welcome to the Soft Girl Era podcast, where we unlearn survival and rediscover softness. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Angel Minor, a voice of passionate upliftment who's making the world a better place by helping us understand the invisible chains of childhood trauma and trauma bonding. Angel's work is transforming lives, guiding Black women, professionals, and leaders toward healing that doesn't just patch wounds, but rebuilds foundations. Their insights today are raw, real, and necessary. So let's dive in. Here's something nobody tells you when you're a kid. When chaos becomes your normal, your brain doesn't just adapt, it rewires. It learns that love and pain are the same language, that abandonment and affection can coexist, that you have to earn safety by being smaller, quieter, more convenient. And then years later, decades even, you find yourself in relationships that feel like home, not because they're healthy, but because they're familiar, because the dysfunction feels like love. That's trauma bonding. And it starts way earlier than most of us realize. Angel Minor shared something with me that stopped me in my tracks. They grew up as one of 10 children, number 7 in the lineup, raised in a single parent household where survival was the daily curriculum. Their mother battled unhealed trauma through drugs and alcohol, and Angel witnessed it all at a tender age. They struggled to find their identity, their place in a world that felt unstable and unpredictable. And here's the thing: Angel's story isn't unique. It's the story of so many Black women who grew up watching the adults around them cope in ways that were never about thriving, only surviving. And when survival is all you don't just carry it, you repeat it. Psychotherapist Rhonda Richards Smith explains that trauma bonding often has its roots in childhood. It's a survival tool. Kids learn to please abusers to stay safe. They learn to read moods, anticipate needs, shrink themselves to avoid conflict. And if that trauma isn't healed, those patterns don't disappear. They replicate in adult relationships. The person who love bombs you and then withdraws, the partner who makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells, the relationship where you're constantly defending someone who's hurting you. That's not love. That's your childhood survival instinct dressed up in grown up clothes. Angel Minor wants us to remember 3 things, 3 truths that could change everything if we let them sink in. First, trauma from childhood wires us for unhealthy bonds. When you grow up equating abuse with love, when chaos feels like connection, you're pulled into cycles that feel familiar but drain your power. You're not broken, you're wired for survival. But survival mode is not where you're meant to live. It's not where you're meant to build a life, raise children, or find partnership. It's a temporary state that too many of us have made permanent. Second, recognize the red flags early: intense love bombing, fear of abandonment, defending a toxic partner to people who love you. These aren't quirks, they're warning signs. And the earlier you catch them, the easier it is to break free before the bond becomes a cage. Before you've invested years, before you've built a life around someone who was never safe to begin with. Third, healing transforms everything. Addressing unhealed wounds doesn't just fix relationships, it builds healthy attachments, a solid identity, and a life that uplifts instead of traps. Healing isn't a luxury, it's the foundation of everything else. It's the difference between surviving and thriving, between existing and truly living. Now, let me share 3 stories that prove this isn't just theory. These are real women who walked through fire and came out holding the blueprint for freedom. Let's talk about Oprah Winfrey. Born to a teenage single mother in rural Mississippi, Oprah grew up in poverty and instability. She endured sexual abuse starting at age 9. She ran away. She tried to escape. And in her early relationships, she found herself repeating patterns that mimicked those survival mode attachments. The chaos felt like home. The instability felt normal. The pain felt like connection. But Oprah didn't stay there. She pursued therapy, self reflection, and spiritual practices to process those unhealed wounds. She chose healthy boundaries. She turned her pain into purpose. Today, she's built a media empire, authored bestsellers like What I Know for Sure, and hosted healing focused shows that have reached millions. She revolutionized mental health conversations for Black women and inspired trauma recovery globally. Her story mirrors Angel Miner's journey, showing how childhood abuse leads to bonding cycles and how healing holds the power to rewrite everything. Oprah could have remained trapped in those patterns. She could have accepted that her childhood defined her adult relationships, but she didn't. She chose differently, and that choice changed not just her life, but millions of others. Then there's Iyanla Van Zant. Raised in Brooklyn by a single mother who died young, Iyanla was molested at age 9, became a teen mother, and entered abusive marriages rooted in trauma bonds from her father's absence and her mother's early death. She bounced between relatives, embedding fears of abandonment that fueled toxic relationships. But Iyanla embraced therapy, forgiveness work, and spiritual healing to dismantle those survival patterns. She achieved emotional freedom and authored transformative books like In the Meantime. She starred in Fix My Life, empowering thousands to heal trauma bonds. Her work shifted Black community dialogues on inner healing, influencing self help for professionals, breaking generational cycles. Iyanla's story directly echoes Angel Miner's identity, struggles in a single parent home with maternal addiction trauma, highlighting the life changing power of healing after dealing. What strikes me most about Iyanla's journey is her willingness to be vulnerable about her mistakes, her pain, her repeated patterns. She didn't pretend she had it all figured out. She showed us the messy middle, the part where you're still learning, still falling, still getting back up. And in that honesty, she gave us permission to be honest too. And let's not forget Tarana Burke, founder of the Me Too movement. Tarana grew up in a Bronx single parent household mid poverty and assault. She survived childhood rape at age 5, which led to trauma bonded attractions to unavailable partners, echoing early instability. Her single mother struggled with finances and relationships, exposing Tarana to violence that shaped attachment fears. But Tarana committed to therapy, community accountability, and movement building to heal and redirect pain productively. She launched Me Too in 2006, sparking a global reckoning with trauma and amplifying Black women's voices. She transformed societal responses to abuse, aiding Black professionals in healing and advocacy. Tarana's story aligns with Angel Miner's young exposure to parental unhealed trauma in a single parent setup, proving that healing breaks unhealthy bonds and creates purpose beyond pain. Tarana didn't just heal herself, she created a movement that gave voice to millions of survivors who thought they had to carry their pain in silence. She turned her trauma into transformation, not just for herself, but for an entire generation. These women didn't just survive, they healed. And their healing became a gift to the world. But here's what I want you to understand: they didn't heal because they were special, they didn't heal because they had resources the rest of us don't have. They healed because they made a choice, a daily, sometimes hourly choice to do the work, to face the pain, to sit with the discomfort, to challenge the patterns, to choose differently. And that choice is available to you too. Angel Miner wants you to do something this week, something small but powerful. Journal one childhood memory tied to a current relationship red flag. Maybe it's the way you freeze when someone raises their voice. Maybe it's how you overfunction to keep the peace. Maybe it's the fear that if you say no, you'll be abandoned. Write it down, look at it, and then book a therapy session to start healing that bond. Not next month, not when you have more time, this week, because your softness, your peace, your joy, they're all waiting on the other side of that decision. You see, the soft girl era isn't about giving up. It's about giving yourself permission, permission to rest without explanation, permission to say no without guilt, permission to set boundaries without apology, permission to heal in real time, permission to protect your peace as a practice, and permission to turn your survival into something sacred, something supportive for others. Angel Miners doing that work every single day. They're helping us see that our childhood doesn't have to be our destiny, that the bonds we formed in survival mode can be broken, that healing is not just possible, it's transformative, and that on the other side of dealing with our trauma is a life we don't have to recover from every single night. So here's my question for you. How are you learning to be soft in a world that taught you survival? What role, mask, or responsibility are you no longer willing to carry? How has your definition of strength evolved? What does your soft girl era look and feel like right now? What past wound are you still tending to? And what's helping? How are you actively creating space for joy, rest, and boundaries? And how have you turned survival into something sacred or supportive for others? These aren't rhetorical questions, they're invitations. Invitations to step into a version of yourself that's been waiting patiently for you to choose her, to choose softness, to choose healing, to choose you. Here's what I know for certain: you didn't survive everything you survived just to stay stuck in survival mode. You didn't endure the chaos, the pain, the dysfunction, the heartbreak just to repeat those patterns for the rest of your life. You survived so you could heal, so you could break the cycle, so you could show the next generation what freedom looks like. And freedom is possible, not the kind you have to fight for every single day, but the kind that feels like coming home to yourself, the kind that whispers, "You are safe here. You are loved here. You are enough here." The kind that doesn't require you to shrink, to perform, to earn, to prove. The kind that just is. But freedom requires something from you. It requires you to stop waiting for the perfect moment, to stop telling yourself you'll deal with it later, to stop minimizing your pain because someone else had it worse. Your pain is valid, your trauma is real, and your healing matters. So I'm asking you today, right now, to make a commitment, not to me, not to Angel Minor, but to yourself. Commit to one action this week that moves you closer to healing. Journal that memory, book that therapy session, set that boundary, say that no, take that rest, whatever it is, do it. Because your life, your real life, the one you've been dreaming about, the one where you wake up without dread, where you love without fear, where you rest without guilt, that life is waiting for you on the other side of this decision. And if you're sitting here thinking, but I don't know how, or I don't have the resources, or I've tried before and it didn't work, I hear you. But I also want you to hear this: healing isn't linear, it's not a straight path from broken to whole. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, it's two steps forward and one step back. But every step, even the backward ones, is teaching you something. Every attempt, even the failed ones, is building your capacity for freedom. You are not too broken to heal. You are not too damaged to deserve love. You are not too far gone to start again. And you are not alone in this journey. Angel Minor left me with one word today, one word to carry with you as you walk away from this conversation: freedom. Freedom from the cycles that have held you captive. Freedom from the belief that love has to hurt to be real. Freedom from the survival mode that's kept you small. freedom to be soft, to be whole, to be healed. And I want to echo that. You deserve freedom. You deserve a life that doesn't require you to recover from it every single night. You deserve relationships that feel like peace, not chaos. You deserve to know what it feels like to be chosen, to be safe, to be loved without conditions. This is your moment. This is your invitation. This is your permission slip. Take it, use it, and step into the freedom that's been waiting for you all along. Your soft girl era isn't coming, it's already here. You just have to choose it. So choose it today. Choose yourself today. Choose healing today. Choose freedom today because the world needs the healed version of you, the free version of you, the soft version of you. And she's been waiting long enough.